All right, I think I fixed the issue. Anyway, I'm going to start from the top just in case you're watching this fresh, like I am, pretending this is the brand new, first time only video. Have you ever wondered, how you can remember all of the wine regions of the world, wine grapes and so on? It's really hard to keep them all straight, isn't it? Now, we know that learning about wine certainly involves tasting wine. That's fundamental. But do you know how powerful the visual element of wine can be? Graphics, maps, infographics, and so on. Our guest tonight, who is going to join me momentarily, in fact, she joined me a while back, is going to explain all about that because she is a master of this. And you're in for a real treat because she's intelligent, she's witty, and she's going to join us live from her home just outside of Seattle. But before I introduce her, let me make sure you are still with us. I'm sure you are. And would you post in the comments below, have you ever heard of the website, Wine Folly, or the book, Wine Folly? It's a New York Times best-selling book. Let me just post this comment right here so that you can all see. Oh no, I've just asked you all to join the link. Sorry, I'm going to delete that. So I am going to post this in the comments. This is what you get when you multitask without a producer. And now let me introduce Madeline Puckett. Our guest this evening is the author of a New York Times best-selling wine book. I've said it before, but do you know how difficult this is? I don't think it's been done before. A wine book on the New York Times best-selling list. Her site that she co-founded, winefolly.com, is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, on the internet for wine sites. She was named one of the top 40 under 40 by the Wine Enthusiast magazine. And I hope right now she joins me live from her home in Seattle, Washington, just outside of Seattle. Hello, Madeline Puckett.
Hi, Natalie.
Oh, so glad you're here. This is flipping between you and me on the visual, but let me see if I can bring you up. So I have introduced you, but fill in the details for us. Tell us a little bit about your personal life as well.
Well, sure. Okay, so getting into creating Wine Folly, I was actually a sommelier at a restaurant, and prior to that, I actually wrote music. I studied music and art in college, and I always enjoyed wine. It was always considered something, you go to an art show, they always serve wine. Maybe it's out of a box, but you do your best. And so I was always very passionate about tasting wine because it was always in the same procedure in which you enjoy and engross yourself in art and music. And I think at some point I realized there was no difference between all the three different topics. They were actually one and of the same. And that's when I really started exploring my sense of taste and smell through tasting wine. And that kind of brought me through curiosity, into the world of wine. And through a matter of moves, ending up in Reno, Nevada, I started working in a wine bar. And then a friend of mine encouraged me to go for my certified sommelier with the Court of Masters. She's like, hey, if you actually want to do this for real, you might as well invest a little money into yourself in an education and a certificate. So I actually did really well with the courses and enjoyed it a great deal. Loved learning about wine. And when I was working, I sort of noticed this disconnect between my knowledge, which I had to, it took a great deal of effort to learn about wine at that time. The internet, there was only one or two wine blogs that I knew of. And, books were a little opaque. And so I started teaching myself through drawing pictures and that kind of a thing. And that eventually led to the creation of winefolly.com, which is this visual wine blog exploring sort of educational topics about wine, so we can learn how to taste wine, how to hold a wine glass, how to sniff wine, how to do all the different things of wine, and what the reasoning is behind that. Because I think a lot of people don't understand how to experience taste. We just put something in our mouths and chew on it. We don't even smell it before we do that in a lot of cases. So in a lot of ways, wine opened me up to this whole entire world of taste. And my entire goal with Wine Folly is to help everyone else open up their entire world to that experience because it can change your life.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
And let me just flip here. I'm not sure. Our video is doing very strange things tonight, but I hope you can all see and hear both of us right now without a big echo. Please post in the comments if so. Gail Harries says, hello, Madeline. I think
Hi,
she may be
Gail.
a friend. Okay, good. Beverly out in California. She's heard of you, Madeline. Murray Johnson, I haven't, but I love all related wine-related things. LOL. Anne joined us earlier. The comments go by very quickly. So, folks, if I miss your comment, please just post it again because I can only see 5 at a time and then they fall off. So I'm having a very weird video experience, but Madeline is such a pro. She's just rolling with it. So let me know. Oh, good. There's no echo. There's no echo, but the video is weird tonight. Anyway, technology. It's good, but you're on your screen twice. I know. Anyway, okay, Madeline, back to you. Tell us what the evolution was behind the book Wine Folly. Where did you get the idea? Where did it come from?
Well, this is a funny This is actually a little bit of a funny story because when we started Wine Folly, we had this big grand vision for it. And I started creating these infographics and they were doing really, really well. And we're like, well, we need to make a visual compendium on wine, obviously, because this is working. And shortly after one of these infographics, sort of at the time, you didn't have to pay to reach your subscribers on Facebook and that kind of thing. So this one post we put up of an infographic went viral. It was massive. And it went all the way to a publisher in England who contacted me and was like, hey, have you thought about doing a book? And this publisher is our publisher. And all I could think about was my grandmother picking up a book that her granddaughter made. And it's maybe a little bit selfishly, I wanted to make my grandmother proud of me.
I don't think that's selfish.
She in my entire life, she's been the etiquette monster. You know, the grandmother, everybody has to dress appropriately and sit properly at the table and not squirm. And I can't sit still. Like, it is the hardest thing. So I've always had what in my mind was a very strained relationship with her. And so this was like my opportunity. Oh, I can impress my grams. And so I went to my co-founder, who is actually my husband, Justin, and I said, hey, we should do this book. This is a great idea. He's like, I don't know. Let me research that. So he ended up reaching out to Seth Godin, who, if anyone's if any of y'all, ladies and gents, are marketing fanatics, you probably know about Seth Godin.
He's big.
He did The Purple Cow, Small is the New Big. He wrote these amazing books that are just, they have so much power and they help you communicate better. It's less about marketing as it is about communicating. So we reached out to him because he had some best-selling books and said, hey, what do you recommend? And he led us to our current agent, who found us our current publisher, which is Penguin Books. And that's how it got out. And that's how we have so many different copies of the book. So there's over 20 different languages. This is the UK edition, which has won awards. And then this one's actually, I think, the Danish version of the book.
It looks like the North American version as well.
It gets weirder than that. Hold on.
So does this video. Sorry, folks. Got a weird thing going on.
So this is the German version of the book.
Oh.
I've been collecting them all. It's a Der Ultimative Weinguide.
It's the ultimate.
This one, if you can read this, gold star. I believe this is the Chinese edition.
Huh.
China is very quickly coming into the wine market. We have 2 Chinese language editions of the book. So people are starting to explore, who are new to wine, starting to explore what is wine. And so this book has been actually, I'm very excited about its international reach because these are new audiences who are learning about wine. And, you know, when I got into wine, it was very, very difficult. And it feels like a lot of an easier way, primarily because, I mean, maybe not in the Chinese edition where it's very hard to read, but in the US edition, or in the UK edition, in the English-speaking edition, there are these really cool infographics. So if you want to learn about a grape variety, say it's Sauvignon Blanc, and you can find the primary flavors of that grape, the taste profile, what you can expect for how acidic it will taste, if it has any tannins. Hot tip, it doesn't. And and then maybe common flavors that you'll find in this wine. And so what I did to determine all these types of things is I started scraping a lot of tasting notes and data from all a bunch of different sources, compiled them all together, started making word clouds, and then pulled out flavors which I associate with Sauvignon Blanc. And then I got a group of other sommeliers together, and we pontificated on what Sauvignon Blanc should taste like and what it does taste like. And we came up with this list. And what I've been finding out after the book came out, because I started to ask that question again, what is flavor? Why do I taste the things that I taste? And it's profound. Every single person has these taste receptors on their tongues, and they associate differently based on who you are. So if your Sauvignon Blanc tastes like peaches and strawberries, and my Sauvignon Blanc tastes like grass and jalapenos, we might actually be drinking the same glass of wine, but we have an entirely different taste perception of it. So this book is empowering because it can help people discover their flavor of Sauvignon Blanc and the way they might experience that wine. And it's all based on aromatic compounds, which, you probably get asked this all the time, Natalie. If I'm smelling strawberry wine, does it mean it actually has strawberries in it?
Right. Absolutely. So answer that question just for someone who wants to know right now.
So here's the cool thing about strawberry flavors in wine. Okay, so let's say the shape of my hand is a strawberry aroma compound.
Okay.
This is called a stereoisomer. It's a mirror image, right?
Okay.
It's a mirror image of the strawberry compound that's made by the wine. It's a molecule made by the fermentation of wine. It's released through the ethanol. So when ethanol, alcohol in wine, evaporates in your glass, it carries these little aroma compounds, and they fly into our nose. They fly into our nose, and our brains can't tell the difference. They see the same compound. It's a mirror image. So they see strawberry, even though it's not strawberry. And you could even say some of these compounds do look identical, and they could be perceived as the exact same thing. So this is why I think perfumers, if you guys are into perfume and you like smells, you can really go deep. And wine is actually an amazing thing to go and smell, because it puts all these weird aroma compounds that you wouldn't think would work well together. And suddenly you realize you smell a Carignan that smells like raspberries and hot dogs at the same time. And part of you wants to hate it, but then the other part of you goes, actually, this smells quite delicious. And you taste it, and it tastes quite delicious. So you completely change the way you think about taste and flavors. And you might be putting raspberry sauce in your hot dog next week, and it might actually work. So I don't know if I would encourage you to try that and tell me if I'm wrong.
Raspberries and strawberries. Yeah. Hot dogs and strawberries. But you're right, Madeline. And sorry, the video is still going weird. But you're right, because I've read lots of books. I'm fascinated with perfume and wine. So Patrick Susskind, the perfumer, and the book that sort of chronicled the creation of Hermès perfume versus Sarah Jessica Parker's perfume. There's so many parallels here. And I think it just points to the unexplored sense of taste smell that we have, and that whole world that can come alive. But you put it very visually in a way we can understand with your molecule hand explanation. It's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is reacting to my voice here now. So I'm going to go over and just check on comments. Lori Kilmartin says hello to us both. Lise, I love the book and I use it all the time. Lise is doing her
Awesome.
WSET 2 or 3, yes.
Good luck. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Jason Gavreau, hi Madeline. Jason from Calgary, read your book, bought lots of your prints, your posters, and love the color wine print.
Oh yeah.
Do you have that handy? It's okay if you don't, Madeline.
I actually have one. You can kind of see it in the background here.
Background, yes.
I could
Okay.
grab it and bring it up.
Sure. Why don't you?
All right.
I'll just keep talking because the camera keeps flipping to whoever's talking. So what's he saying, Jason? Let me read more about what he said. In the middle of my W set, so that's Wine Spirit Education Trust 3, and I recently joined the Jackson Family Wines family. Love your work, all in exclamation marks and high caps.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Do you have it?
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so this, it's fine, but so it's
Perfect.
So the cool thing about the color of wine is it seems like such a banal thing to look at your glass of wine, like to look, it almost seems a little bit snooty to be staring at your glass of wine like, oh, I'm getting a lot of ruby red, colors in this. But the cool thing is there actually is, you can actually train your eyes and deduce, yes, a fair amount from looking at the color of wine. And so this poster, I worked with, I talked with a few people. I actually talked with this obsessive sommelier in China who's really into color, and then master sommelier Jeff Kruth. And we started talking about color in wine and how the court analyzes it, how WSET analyzes it, so how the professional organizations analyze color. And I wanted to make a poster that worked for, hey, if I'm a professional, it would work for me. But hey, if I just want to look at beautiful chart color with wine glasses in it, it would work for me too. So So I came up with the outline, and actually these are named, the color types are named based on the actual color that is associated in WSET or CMS, but you learn to communicate the color that way. And the cool thing is, for example, a wine that has, based on the chemistry of the way we see anthocyanin, which is the red pigment in wine, you can, if it's very acidic, if it's a pH, a very low pH, that color tends to go a little bit more red. They call it a red base. And I read a few scientific studies I thought was fascinating. And then when it goes a higher pH, aka a little lower acidity, it goes blue base, and you have a more purpley wine. So if you know Malbec, yes, if you've ever looked at Malbec at the edge of the rim, it looks sort of magenta. That's blue base. That's what we're talking about. And Malbec tends to have a higher pH, so it tends to have like 3.9, somewhere up there. It's a little bit higher, which is, by the way, that's a little higher for red wines. And so you can learn a little bit. You can actually deduce a little bit from looking at the color in wine. And so we wanted to give somebody a chart so they could start referencing it. And it was really cool because I was able to go to the printer while they were printing them and verify that the colors were correct.
Wow. Which
was a big deal, which is why I don't offer it as a printout online, because I feel like it's going to get ruined in translation somehow. We got different colored printers everywhere.
That's fascinating. Anyway. Wow. It's so good that you're like this triple geek with the visual, the wine, the technical, everything. Yeah. You bring it all together, Madeline, but you make it so understandable.
Yeah, that was that project. I'm really, so Jason, good pick. I'm really
your husband.
No, this was Jason. Wasn't he just talking about it?
Oh, Jason, I thought you meant your husband. Justin is your husband, right? I thought you were talking. He was a good pick, but he was a good pick, I'm sure.
He turned out all right. He's awesome.
No, Jason says, I framed my color wine prints, the exact same way, and I hung it in my kitchen. That's where he put it.
Spot. Yeah, that's a good spot. Mine totally deserves kitchen placement too. I think I should copy you.
That's great. But your infographics and your posters are just so gorgeous. So you obviously have a design background as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I studied. Started going to school for music technology, which was basically a music composition, new media degree. So you understand a bit about music engineering and programming and the language of music, a little bit of the science and math of music, which is fun. It's a little hard. And then I realized that I would not get a job when I graduated in the music industry, because I really wanted to be a rock star at the time.
don't think there's any problem with that. And you are a rock star now in a different way, right?
It was kind of an unrealistic, let's be honest, that was very unrealistic. So so I started a dual major. I went to the art department. I said, hey, I'm a real visual thinker. I think I can communicate some new ideas visually, and I want to get an art degree. And I have no idea how and why they let me in, but they let me into the art school too. So I was the only, I created a dual major at California Institute of the Arts, and I got an art degree. And so when I actually got out of school, I could actually go get a job. And I worked for a Star Trek convention company, this convention company that did like Star Trek, horror movies, like the geekiest of geeky TV and science and sci-fi media. That was my job, was making like posters for like an amazing picture of Patrick Stewart in Star Trek The Next Generation. And he's like, oh, I love Patrick Stewart. He's awesome. So
you're adding the 4th star of geekdom to your criteria here.
That's right.
No, it should be like this.
So that was actually how I got my chops in design, was working at this firm. Wow. And I got really fast at designing, because you got it, it's your job. And so when it came time to creating something about wine, it seemed very easy to find visual communication methods to talk about wine. I was like constantly looking for ways to communicate wine visually, because it's fun. Honestly, it's very fun. And that's what got me into creating maps. And so the book has, I think 15 or 17, I don't know, a bunch of different maps. Here's a sample. Here's Spain.
There it is. Awesome. They're beautifully illustrated. I mean, you've really taken care not only to be technically correct, but to be visually beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted them to feel, we had the color palette for them was very difficult to determine, but I wanted them to be, so if you had them all together that they looked, easy to they look the same, even though they're all different. And the funny thing you learn about wine is nothing is the same. There are no rules that translate across different countries. You're in France, you call it an AOC. You go to Italy, it's suddenly called a DOCG, and there's this funny thing called IGT, and you don't, like, it's very, very hard. If you go down the regulatory path, you basically turn into someone who just remembers numbers and is really good at like pattern recognizing. And that's not what wine is. No. Wine is what's in your glass, and it's this experience that you're smelling and tasting. And that's why the visual thing worked, I think. I think that's why the site, honestly, because people just want to, I can see it. It's fun to taste and to drink. It should be fun to learn about.
Absolutely. What a good philosophy. And let's just check in over here on Facebook. Beverly Love Malbec, what an interesting career before you found your wine niche. Absolutely. Lori Kilmartin, Madeline, you don't look old enough to have done all of that schooling. Did you graduate at 16?
Sweet.
She is a savant. She is a very talented young woman, although, oh my goodness.
I am over 30. I'm like in my mid 30s technically. I'm 34. But yeah, I guess it's still young, but
yeah, it's still young, Madeline.
That's still young, but
if you were a Barolo, we'd put you back in the cellar.
Yeah, I probably do need some aging, honestly.
And Stephen Andrews says, yes. Oh, he's going to catch the rest of our chat on the replay. He has guests coming right now. Excellent. Madeline, I love your humor, says Lise. All right, they're loving you. Okay, so let's get now to let's go to your worst moment of your wine career, Madeline. Why don't we just go there, and you can just maybe share what that might have been.
We get a fair amount of pushback on the site from people who, obviously, wine is a very deep topic, and we do make some mistakes sometimes. And I do my best to correct things on the site if it's wrong. But there are a lot of open for interpretation language on the site. And it's almost on purpose because there are so many exceptions to the rule. So I think the worst moment, and this is in honest trueness, is, we've run our maps many times now. We have a map set that we sell online, and I have personally corrected them over and over again. So their latest edition is like perfect. And so we're in a constant move to be continually improving. But I think the worst moment really was when I lined up a podcast with Levy Dalton in New York. And I think he's awesome. He's like, I love his sort of, he is like a super hard personality wise. Like he's very, like he like grinds right into the what the thing of it is with all of his guests, and I love that about him. Mm-hmm. And so I went to New York, and we just met up, and he's like, yeah, I'll interview. And I was like, so you ready now? And he's like, no, whenever you come back to New York. And I'm like, well, I'm not coming back for like a year. So the next year, I'm in New York, and I had just launched a Piemonte map, which you won't see for sale on our site right now because I still haven't figured out how to solve the problem. And he took one look at it, and he said, the size of Barolo is wrong.
Oh,
which
no.
is totally Levy Dalton, if you know him. Like
nice opener.
He is like very, very accurate. He actually didn't even do the podcast. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore because that is the wrong shape of Barolo. So I felt awful. Naturally, I'm going back, and I'm like, God, I just traced. There are like something like 76 different little regions in Piemonte, and I traced. It was probably like a 45-hour project, if not more. Maybe more, probably. It took me a while. And I'd really launched this map. We paid all this money, launched the map, put it out there, sold some, and he was not happy with the shape of it. And I was so embarrassed and mortified because Piemonte is one of those regions that you are the experts expert. Piemonte, it's like it's the creme de la creme. Italian wine, I have books upon books. I read all the time about Italian wine, but I feel like I don't really understand. I've talked to Italians about Italian wine. I feel like they don't understand it. Everyone is trying to figure out Italian wine. It is the most difficult puzzle to unravel. And he was able to quickly deduce that I was wrong. And I felt so embarrassed. I pulled the map from the site. Actually, you can still find it online, but it's not for sale anymore. And I changed it. I fixed the shape of Barolo, and but I didn't relaunch it, and I think that was my biggest, in my opinion. I had put all this effort into something, but I should have checked it with a few other experts before launching that sucker.
That's honest. That's very honest of you. But there's just an ocean of facts, Madeline. And I raise my glass to you to attempt map drawing. I mean, cartography on layering that on the world of wine. I mean, you're in the arena, and at least we're
gonna figure it out. I got that map. It's on my to-do list when I'm feeling good and got a fair amount of caffeine in my body. I'm gonna tackle that again for sure.
I'm sure you will.
And we'll get it.
That's great. Tom Dean says Madeline has a wonderful way of speaking and telling her story. I agree, Tom. I really do.
Thanks, Tom.
Lori says, you should have been with us this afternoon, Madeline. Madeline, Lori and some of the folks who are joining us here tonight, part of my tasting team, we were at a tasting with Fontana Freda. So it was very much about Piedmont.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great tasting. All right. So I am remiss if I don't say right now, you'll want to share this video if you're enjoying this conversation, because we will come back with Madeline and she's going to share with you the kinds of things you can win. Her book, she's got some posters for you. All you have to do is share this video, even if you're watching the replay, because we do not pick a winner till next week. So it's not too late, but please share it out. Let other people know what you're enjoying. And if you love it, make a comment as well. At the end of this broadcast, I will be sharing with you who won last week's draw. All right, so now, Madeline, back to you. Tell us about your best moment so far in your wine career. We've gone low, now let's go high.
You could say that your best moment is when you sort of achieve some sort of, there's certainly been some awards that I've been like, shocked and awed that we've received in the past. But honestly, if I really go down to what sticks with me, And I feel like this actually reflects with a lot of folks who get into the wine business, is there was a moment when I was a nobody, and I went to a Chardonnay challenge, Ruinart. I was a first or second year doing the Chardonnay challenge in San Francisco. I drove in from Reno, Nevada, and I came in, with a mismatched suit, and I did the tasting, and I suggested wine and pairings with different Chardonnays, and I guessed it. I didn't win, but I got runner up. But the team at Ruinart was so impressed. They took myself and my husband, or I guess he's my boyfriend then, out to dinner, and I got to meet Frédéric Panatois, who's the chef de cave there. He's the dude that actually makes the champagne, and he and his associate Charlotte said, "I feel like you got something going. You should keep doing it," and that sticks with me. That to me was a high moment. For as low and as little of a person I was, it was someone who was very respectable in the wine community gave me the opportunity to think big about myself and to maybe try to do that thing that I was thinking about trying to do. And I've been riding that high for many years.
Wow.
It's very rare that somebody in that kind of position will don and encourage you to try. And so because it was so inspiring to me, I try to inspire everyone where I go as well, because there are so many young sommeliers, doesn't matter if they're young or old, there are so many new people to wine who are passionate about wine and they want to learn more, and they have something, they've got a good idea. They just need to be told that, hey, that's a pretty good idea. You should try that. And I've heard amazing, amazing ideas and so much potential out of some of these folks that I've met, and they're going to kill it. I know they will.
Wow.
It feels like the wine business, you're only here because you're passionate. And so these people come in with a lot of passion, and it's exactly what we need.
I think you're exactly what we need, Madeline. You remind me, you talked about Seth Godin. I think you're on that track. Gary Vaynerchuk, as we all know and love. Wine first, then guru. I think you've got that too. Like that track of like, not that we all need to grow out of wine, but
that was the one thing that bummed me about Gary Vee. We all love Gary Vee and we love those videos. Why did he leave us?
We want you back, Gary Vee.
Yeah.
But I think wine is still in his blood.
Sure.
Really. But I'll never forget the moment he made Conan Doyle. Was it Conan Doyle? Conan something. Anyway, that's probably a movie. But he made that late night host eat dirt to kind of remember he was trying to explain what dirt might taste and smell like in wine.
Conan O'Brien?
Conan O'Brien, yes. Conan Doyle is Sherlock Holmes.
Conan O'Brien would totally eat dirt, and I'm so glad that he did. That makes me like Conan O'Brien more.
He did. He got right into it, and he was actually trying to chaw on some stinky gym socks. Anyway.
Wow, I love it.
He's a sport.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So we'll keep track here. People are just loving this. Okay, you remember eating dirt. Okay, Beverly. All right, so.
No, there is a video on our site where because I always call it baby diaper in some French Chardonnay that's like, it smells very reductive.
Yeah, there's a picture of you. I'm trying to find it, but yeah, keep going.
Just so you know.
Oh, there it is.
Chardonnay does not smell like baby diaper. I'm wrong.
You were wrong.
I still like to call it out because dirty baby diaper is probably one of the most, like, if it changes you. I think moms out there, they all know what I'm talking about. I went over to my friend's place because I don't have children, and I was like, "Give me a freshie." Like, "Oh, are you sure you want that? Okay, we'll give you one then." So,
all for the cause of research and being thorough.
That was awesome.
That's great. Lynn says, so great that you challenged the old school inside of the box thinking. What is your favorite out of the box pairing, Madeline?
Ooh. Okay, this one I did not make up myself. I don't actually know if my buddy who told me this pairing did either. But if you get yourself a cava, like your $10 bottle of cava sparkling wine from Spain, and you pair it with a red bean chili, doesn't matter if it's got meat or no meat, but it's got to have the red bean aspect, cumin, that kind of a thing. And you get a little bit of cheese, cheddar on top, and a little bit of green onions with a cava. OMG. That is like, I don't even, it's crack. It's like, what happens, and it doesn't make any, on the surface, it doesn't make any sense that to have a spicy chili, red bean chili, with sparkling wine. Like, it doesn't, like, intensity wise, it feels like it would be a mismatch. But when you put them together, and with that, and I think you really need just a dusting of cheese. It could be cotija, or cheddar cheese. I had cheddar. I always do the cheddar. And you get the creaminess in the cheese with the red bean. The red bean is sweet. It offers sweetness. And then with because cava is very dry. I always feel like cava is super, super dry. And you put them together and it makes this creamy richness. It's a savory, sweet flavor that happens in your mouth all at once. And then the carbonation turns into foamy, creamy in your mouth. So it's almost like having sour cream on your chili, even though it's not actually there. So that was a mind-bending, that's an odd pairing that I absolutely love.
That is fantastic and very creative, I must say. Wow.
So I didn't make it up. My friend Rick Martinez, he was the guy who got me into the wine business. This was back in Reno, Nevada. I worked at a place called West Street Wine Bar. I was very good at cleaning and polishing glasses because we did not have a dishwasher. And he's the one who came up with that idea. And he's the guy who was like, hey, yeah, I'll give you a job. You know how to work a cash register? You know, it was awesome.
That is awesome. Cherie is here. Hi, Madeline. In all of your travels and experiences, is there an underrated wine or region that you'd like to recommend that we should learn about?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. There's so many. I guess, geez. Where would I? So depends on your taste palette. I would say that's the first thing that matters. But that said, I am continually impressed by Spanish wines. Just Spanish and Portuguese wines, anything from the Iberian Peninsula, essentially. There's so much quality for value, for stupid value. I spent, okay, $30 US dollars seems like a fair amount of money, right? That's fair. What is that in Canadian, Natalie? Do you know?
About $1.
$30.
No. We're about 30 cents on the, or sorry, 70 cents on the dollar. So
okay, so maybe so that's like 30% more 30. I can do math. That's like $40. Mm-hmm. All right, 40 Canadian. And this was an old vine Garnacha from outside of Madrid, and the quality on this Garnacha, you know, we think of Châteauneuf-du-Pape as being the place for Rhone blends. And truly the best, the most highest rated Rhone Châteauneuf-du-Papes are usually 90 to 100% Grenache. Nobody talks about that, but it's true. And this Garnacha from Vinos de Madrid, it was a 2008 vintage. I had it was maybe 2 years ago, something like that. I remember it to this day. It was so fantastic. It was such a fantastic wine. And for the price, it tasted like a $250 bottle of wine. And that's what, you know, when you really get into wine, you are trying to find that perfect, can I afford it? Can I buy a case of it and put it in my cellar? And hopefully, if I was really smart and try not to drink it too fast, you really are always looking for it. It doesn't matter how much you make, you're always looking for a great buy and a great, great wine. So I would highly recommend checking out wines from the Iberian Peninsula. Expand your palate, try a bunch of things. There's a bunch of different grape varieties that we've all never heard of from there that are delicious. And another region that I always go for next door regions. So, for example, Napa is very popular and very expensive, but next door to Napa, you can find this area called Clear Lake, and it's just north of Napa, and it's actually, there's an old volcano there, so it's got volcanic soils. And it's high elevation. It's like 1,400 feet or higher. And phenomenal wines. In fact, a lot of Napa cabs get blended with fruit, because you can blend, I think, up to 25% from another region. I could be wrong. It might be 15. Somebody correct me. And these wines are rich. They're just delicious, rich, full-bodied, beautiful red wines, and they're very affordable. So I'm all about next door.
Did you say clear water?
Clear Lake.
Clear Lake.
There's
Clear Lake.
It's like an ancient lake. It's supposedly over 500 million years old, and I think it's 500 million years old. I think it's one of the oldest lakes. It's still a lake, and it's just very, very deep, and it's very big, and there's all these mountains around it, and it's kind of tragic. This whole region is very poor, so they sell their water to the Central Valley to water the agribusiness in the Central Valley, and the lake always gets drained. So I'm very thankful that this huge raining season happened in California this last year, because it filled up Clear Lake again, and it's not drained. It was really bad. Like, it was tragically low last year, and now it's full again. I hope they don't sell it again. Just like, please don't destroy this ancient lake. You guys are sucking it dry. So that's a really special region. I wish they would get more press, because it's really delicious.
That's new to me too. Thank you, Madeline, for highlighting that. So we're almost at the 45-minute mark, and we haven't even gotten into, you suggested some different wines. So what I did is I followed your direction. You wanted to taste an aromatic white.
Ooh.
I've got some Viognier from Pays d'Oc, southern France. Is that part of your map? Is that a focus for your map?
Well, I have this, the Pays d'Oc, we just have a France map.
Yeah.
But we do have a Viognier page in the book.
Okay.
So let's see if we can break my book or not. I think this is a great test.
Okay.
Does your Viognier taste like any of the flavors we get in the Viognier on the Viognier page?
All right.
So I've got my book ready. Okay, I'm taking a look. Natalie's giving it a sniffer sniff.
That's very Gary V of you.
I know. He's awesome.
I miss him too. Okay. Thinking floral notes.
Okay. Floral as in
white florals. Honey? Yeah, honey.
Okay.
Yes,
Honeysuckle?
I'm very suggestible. So if you just say something.
Do you get honeysuckle at all?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay. Wacky idea. Any rose notes? Is it okay? Maybe not quite as rosy.
Yeah. Or the light florals like lilies, daisies.
This is a wacky one that I only get in some Viognier. Tangerine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a tangerine aroma?
Tangerine, definitely. Tangerine blossom. Really? Tangerine zest. That sort of thing.
Oh wow. Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Amazing. That sounds delicious. My mouth is watering. Okay. So do you get peach at all?
Yes, definitely peach.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's loading. That's exciting. Okay.
It's very aromatic.
Do you get an oiliness on the palate?
Yes, it's unctuous. I love saying that word, by the way. Unctuous. It's rich.
I like how you say it too. I always say unctuous. I think unctuous sounds.
I'm probably putting in extra syllables that shouldn't be there.
I like it. It's earned it, don't you think?
I think so. Unctuous.
Unctuous. So mango at all? Is there any mango, or is it fruity enough for a mango?
Yeah, this one is.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Does this dog have any oak on it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, because if you
did, you might get a little bit of nutmeg or mace.
Right, and I'm not getting any of that.
And no allspice, no brown butter, nothing like that.
Oh, it's really pure fruit driven. Okay. Yeah.
So we basically called out all the flavors on the top of this thing.
Yay.
We did tangerine, peach, mango, honeysuckle, and you didn't quite get rose, which I totally could see not getting. It only comes on a very super awesome ones. But then we're talking about some of the other flavors mentioned in here as well. So if you had maybe a glass of Viognier and it was your first time tasting it, you might be able to use the book. and come up with
Absolutely.
flavors.
I think that's
Yeah,
brilliant. I love the
that's
way you
really
laid it
wacky.
out.
It totally worked. All right, so here's the cool thing. We were talking about me and the guys in the Psalms. We're talking about when you taste a Viognier, some Viognier grows in a cooler area. Some Viognier grows in a very hot area. How do you tell the difference between a cooler or a hotter area? And that's based on sort of the primary fruit note that you get, and a warmer climate being more towards the sweet burnt mango, or sort of mango and pineapple kind of realm, and a cooler climate being more towards that tangerine, lime, apple, that realm of the flavor. So Viognier can be very different depending on where it grows, and that's sort of something we mentioned in this part of the book, where there's a sort of a cool climate versus hot climate area, because Viognier grows in many places in the world. And you had found that one in the Pays you said?
Yes, so it's old world, but it's southern France, as you know, warmer
I
climate.
bet. Is that a pretty good value up in
Oh yeah,
Canada?
it's $14, which would be like $2
Yeah.
American. No, it would be
No, 14, that's like,
18, 8,
I want
sorry.
that. I
Yeah.
wish I've never had that one. That looks delicious.
It looks good. But you're right, you nailed it. I love how you have all these visual sliding scales, and really truly you bring that visual element to wine that I think is sorely missing.
I have to admit, my fingers were like, please don't break the book.
Break the book. You mean by saying, no, I get black plums.
Yeah, the next book, I'll be honest, like the next book we're working on is supposed to come out next fall if all the ducks are properly lined. And that will be basically an expanded version of the current book. So the current book's basically the great beginner guide, 55 varieties. And the next one's got over 100 and more regions and more maps. And that's what I'm working on right now, 7 days a week for the last 10 months.
Wow, that's intense, but
It's a lot. I admit, the last 2 weeks, I took the weekends off. My mother-in-law moved out, and I cleaned the house, and I felt that it was very therapeutic.
what, her moving out, or you cleaning the no, never mind.
Cleaning it. No, well, you can think what you want. She's amazing. She helps with Wine Folly a lot, so I love her forever for life for that. She helps keep me organized in a lot of ways. So much love goes her way, but I think both of us are happy now that she's happier since she's moved out.
So sweet. Madeline, this could be a 3-hour conversation. And I had so much else planned, but that's a tribute to your wonderful storytelling and way, you have a real power of communicating and visualizing for people. They're just commenting, and I'm losing track of all the comments. They love you. So we're still going to wrap this up, and we'll have to have you back. But is there anything we've left out that we should cover? Oh, look at you. Bring it up and tell us what that is.
So we want to give you some cool stuff for sharing. If you share this video, I would love it. Come on, do it. Don't not do it. So I'm going to give you something. I'll send it your way. This is one of our really cool tools that we have. You can keep them anywhere in your cellar, on your kitchen table, wherever they fit. They're very thin, as you can see. But it's a tasting of a flavor chart. And on the front side, it makes it easier to find aromas if you're having trouble finding aromas, and if you don't want to have to lug your book around. This one is cool because on the back side, we actually talk about, remember we were talking about aroma compounds like strawberry and the strawberry aroma? Well, there are, and the sommeliers talk about this a lot, there are some of these compounds we call impact compounds. We made that name up, but it essentially means, we didn't make it, the sommeliers did, not me. It essentially means a compound that I smell in a wine that typifies that something specific is happening. So when a blind taster smells a wine and can identify what it is, they're using impact compounds to do so. Yes, a great example of this, I'd like to give you an example, is this one called... The full name of it is methoxypyrazine.
Ooh.
Is that backward?
Yep, that is good. Yeah. No, it's not. That's good.
Methoxypyrazine. It smells like green bell pepper. It can smell like chocolate. like a little like a dark chocolate. It can smell like green peppercorn. It can smell like jalapeno, that kind of thing. This is methoxypyrazine. And it is a classic indicator of a Bordeaux variety. So Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Malbec, come on,
Petit
Bordeaux.
Verdot.
Petit Verdot, Carmenere, Sauvignon Blanc. They can all have methoxypyrazine. They generally have a higher amount. And this is what I found out from Master Sommelier. He was talking to a plant pathologist, and apparently grape varieties produce their own anti-bug spray. And that is what methoxypyrazine is. It's the pine needle smell. In the extreme version, it's a pine needle smell. It resists bugs. So when canopies get overactive and they produce a lot of green vegetation, they produce a lot of methoxypyrazine, which goes into the grape varieties and makes them taste herbaceous. So for a long time, we had really herbaceous Bordeaux style wines. And it wasn't until a little bit of science went through, we discovered that this is what was actually happening. And we're able to better control that now. And so green bell pepper in a red wine, which is most people don't like, although I think it's very awesome, can actually smell a little bit more like a dark chocolate, which is way more desirable aroma. So science is doing a lot to sort of understand how grapes grow and make them taste better. And so if you are getting into wine now, you are literally getting into it in the world's best time to get into wine. Because fantastic. Wine, even on the low end, wine tastes better now than it's ever tasted before. So we're giving away one of these. Woohoo! And if you like one, I will send you one. And then I also have something else. Share it with me, Natalie.
Yes, yes. I'll just talk and flip the camera over here. She's got her book, a signed copy of Wine Folly, and she's got a beautiful poster. If you share the video, remember you can still share up till next week. Oh, she's back. Okay, so talk about that, Madeline.
I think we're going to give away this one. Why don't we do this? This one's great. This one's called The Basic Wine Guide, and it's really just a fun poster, and it's also very beautiful. Here, I'll hold it. And 18 by 24, I don't know what sizes and
yep, we can see it. It's great. It's really nice. It's beautiful.
Okay. Anyway, it's printed on this really cool pearlescent paper. I get them printed locally here in Seattle. So I'm very, very proud about the quality, and I'd love to send one your way.
There you go. Oh, Madeline, this is fantastic. Okay, so folks, thank you for bearing with us with all our my technical issues. Madeline, this is fantastic. I don't want to even stop, but we are almost at the hour mark. So I'm wondering where we can find you online, because all of these things that we're giving away you sell, plus a lot of other stuff. So where can folks find you?
So if I were you, you can head over to winefolly.com and check out the site. If you love what we are doing, I would highly recommend subscribing. It's a free newsletter. There's some really cool sort of onboarding emails that can get you into exploring beginner topics or more advanced topics depending on your level of expertise. And we have a lot of pros on there too, so everyone's welcome. And so it's winefolly.com/subscribe. If you want to subscribe straight up, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, like everywhere, just anything at Wine Folly is pretty much our handle. And tweet us. I check it all the time. It's going to be me or Vincent that sees it. So Vincent sits next to me during the work week, so we see everything together. And we're pretty easy to find. If you just type in Wine Folly, we'll be there. And I would absolutely love for you to subscribe. When you do, we send out a letter, and if you reply, it goes right to my inbox, so I see it. Yeah.
I'm sure you will get subscribers tonight, Madeline. Everyone's enchanted with you. Thank you for such a great conversation. Wish you all the luck with your next book, and we need to stay in touch. We need to have another conversation if you will come back and chat with us again.
Rock on. All right. Thank you, Natalie.
Okay. Bye. Goodbye for now.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Okay, folks. So she's amazing. Totally amazing. And the video is going everywhere. So sorry for that. But okay, so we've got a few things to do before we wrap up tonight. So, in the comments below, if you could comment on what was the most interesting thing you learned during our conversation tonight, I would love to know. One point, one factoid, one anything. Please let us know. The other thing, of course, is please share the video. This sends it out. It lets other people know. If you enjoyed this, I'm sure there are other people who follow you that would love to watch this video. As you know, they can watch the replay. And when you comment, when you click on share, you choose where you want to share it to, and you can make some comments. That's kind of how we decide on the winners. All right, so, and while you're at it, why not click to follow? Why not? So, next week's guest is Dr. Edward Miller. We are going to talk about all things related to wine and health, from breast cancer to heart disease, to wine while you're nursing, to Alzheimer's. He is a leading researcher in the field of wine and health. He's got all the answers. He's netted out all the studies, so he knows where everything sits, and he told me some surprising things in our little intro chat that I didn't even realize. You're not going to want to miss that. So that's next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Toronto, New York. Da-da-da, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Mark Lay, am I pronouncing your name correctly, Mark? You have just commented, which is so opportune, I swear. Love learning about how color can indicate alcohol and pH. Mark, you're the winner of last week's Sunday Sipper Club. Let's all have a toast, a clap for Mark. You're getting 2 Austrian wines from Pfaffel Winery. So gorgeous wines. Gruner Veltliner, top quality, top producer in Austria. Mark, I think I might have your email, but confirm with me just in case, and I will connect you with the agency who represents that winery, and we're going to send you those 2 bottles of wine. So, folks, oh, Beverly's clapping. Let me know, as always, if there's guests you want to see. Right now, I've got us booked. I've got guests booked out till December 17th. But right now, my mind is bubbling and toiling, must be Halloween, on New Year's and 2018. I'm going to book way ahead, and because I want the most interesting guests for you. And the further out we book, the better people we get. So if you've got suggestions, post it here. I'll be commenting. I'm going to ask Madeline to come back and comment and post and answer your questions that we did not get to after this session, after this video is posted and finished. So again, if you're watching the replay, you can still comment and do all of that, because we're checking in all week here to see what's happening. Woohoo! Mark's excited. Excellent. Great, Mark. Okay, folks, I think that's it. I think I've told you everything I need to tell you, except thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Highlight of my week, the fact you're here, the questions, the interaction. I absolutely love this. So I will see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. with Dr. Edward Miller to talk about wine and health. Good night, Lori and Mark and Beverly and Anne. Good night, Moon. All right, take care, guys. Good night.